What's up and welcome in. You're watching the 49ers Report. Chase Sr. here with you. Hope all of you out there are having a fantastic Tuesday. Coming your way on today's show, going to take a look at some Elijah Mitchell replacements with the second-year running back being lost for 2 months because of that sprained MCL in his knee. We also have some roster moves that just happened moments ago that we're about to talk about right now. And speaking of Elijah Mitchell replacements, could one be the running back Marlon Mack, according to Adam Schefter, after a visit today in Santa Clara at the practice facility. 49ers bringing in the former Texans and Colts running back. We'll talk further about Marlon Mack coming around the corner, but a couple of other players also in the Bay Area for some workouts. Field Yates, ESPN, with Elijah Mitchell on IR. 49ers worked out Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, Nate McCrary, Abram Smith, LaMichael Pirine, Godwin Ikwebike, and they hosted Marlon Mack on a visit. And since that tweet came out just a couple of minutes ago, 49ers signing him to the practice squad could be an elevation to the active roster at some point. And along those lines, San Francisco promoting Tashaun Gipson to the active roster, and to make room on it, the team did place Elijah Mitchell on IR as expected, as we talked about on yesterday's show. Team also signed Keith Ismail to the team's practice squad and released offensive lineman Keaton Sutherland and wide receiver Connor Weddington. So those right there, the moves on the roster, practice squad, 53-man that San Francisco made today. And let's talk further about the signing of Marlon Mack. So with Elijah Mitchell, that sprained MCL, the good news here, no surgery needed, but he's going to be out for a little while. And it's unfortunate because he played really well against the Chicago Bears before he took a big blow to his knee. And a troubling trend here is this is yet another running back on this Kyle Shanahan-led team that has suffered an injury. And this has been a problematic little timeline here under Shanahan with injuries as a whole. As the last several years, they've been one of the most off-injured teams in the National Football League, specifically at that running back spot. This isn't what you want, and some of it comes down to bad luck. Some of it comes down to San Francisco plays that brute physical style. But in 2021, Niners, third most injured team. 2020, most injured team. 2019, top 6. 2018, top 4. And 2017, 10th most injured team. So in every single season that Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach for San Francisco, they've been within the top 10 of the most injuries suffered among 32 teams in the NFL. As for what Mitchell did against the Chicago Bears, and this is why the Niners are going to miss him, 6 carries, 41 yards, average yards per carry, 6.8. And I thought Elijah Mitchell looked really good. Had suffered that hamstring injury throughout training camp. Of course, going back to last year, he missed 6 games. But what I love about him as a player and why it's so unfortunate, this guy has great burst. This guy has great speed and quickness. He always seems to find a way to pick up yards on negative plays, and that is so advantageous so that you don't consistently play behind the sticks. And he was top 5 in rushing yards per game last year among some of the best running backs in the National Football League. Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, and then you see Elijah Mitchell there. So before we pivot to more on Marlon Mack, to wish Mitchell a speedy recovery, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. This is a special player, a diamond in the rough, a gem found out of Louisiana in the 6th round. Let's hope that he gets back healthy soon. Some internal replacements for Elijah Mitchell before we get to the external guys. Couple of capable people on this roster. I'll tell you this about Jeff Wilson. Looked slow against Chicago. Was it the rain or was it him just lacking burst? Ty Davis-Price, I like his balance given how big he is at 215, 220. He can run through arm tackles, pick up yards after contact, just needs to get his feet wet in the NFL. I actually think among those 2 young backs, the most capable and ready right now is actually Jordan Mason over Ty Davis-Price. This guy's decisiveness and just fast reading ability to find the hole and hit it in this offense is just critical. I want to see him get more carries on Sunday against Seattle, especially knowing Seattle's a really physical team on defense. And then what I also think this could mean is that Deebo Samuel gets more work at that running back spot. When Mitchell went out last year and missed 6 games for a couple of different injuries, the 49ers did turn more so to Deebo Samuel in the backfield as he made that transition to wide back. And with Deebo, scored the rushing touchdown as he got around the corner back on Sunday's game in that loss against the Bears. If you saw the physicality at the goal line, he just straight up ran through that defender. And Deebo Samuel just has this innate ability to make plays anytime the football is in his hands. Through the air, on the ground, in the return game. Why he works at running back? Well, I think it's really good that San Francisco has him under contract because you don't have to worry about him complaining about his role because he already got the bag, and instead of going into his final year of his rookie contract with the base salary of $3.9 million, he's one of the more highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. He now has that financial security. But at that running back spot, great vision, explosiveness, consistently moves the chains, has that pull-away speed, and sometimes he drops passes. So sometimes it's just easier to give him a handoff. Runs with physicality and burst, elite anytime he gets the ball in his hands in a variety of areas. And the concern, of course, durability and injuries, but you have Deebo Samuel under contract, so he can't really say much or complain about his role. Who do you think should get the most carries on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks? I want you to let me know right now in the comment section down below. Is it going to be Ty Davis-Price? Is it going to be Jordan Mason? Maybe even Deebo Samuel? Give me a name down below. And Trace, if we could take a look at more on Marlon Mack, let's pivot there because a lot of people are watching our live show knowing that San Francisco just signed a pretty intriguing player to the practice squad here. So 4th-round pick with some pedigree back in 2017 who has carrying and pass-catching ability. Marlon Mack, the last couple of years, he's failed to really live up to expectations that he had early in his career. Some of that because of injury, some of that because of the lack of usage. And then with the Houston Texans, he just got beat out by Pierce, who we saw in that preseason finale, tore that Achilles back in 2020, but I think is a solid scheme fit. And I think that it's possible that Marlon Mack gets elevated at some point from the practice squad to the active roster. His last really good year, it came before that Achilles injury, but you see here, look, 1,000 yards on the ground, that is nothing to scoff at. 247 carries, 8 touchdowns, and also coming out of the backfield, 14 receptions as well. So that is the newest addition to the 49ers practice squad. Coming up next now, how about some trade and free agency options outside of the players who we just talked about to replace Elijah Mitchell? That's coming up. Stay tuned for that. But first, are you a real one? Are you subscribed to the 49ers Report? Are you a big fan of the San Francisco 49ers? If all of that fits under your bill, hey, get yourself a Real One shirt right now by heading to chatsports.com/Real149. The Real One movement has been so real. It's been so strong. I hit up the bosses and said, we got to make these into some t-shirts because there are so many diehard subscribers that we have that are a part of everything that we do, that subscribe with your noties on, who show up for every live show and every single video. We want to show the love to you, so rep a Real One shirt. Let's ride. Okay, as for those external options who the 49ers could explore to replace Elijah Mitchell as he's out. We talked about Marlon Mack. How about a player inside the NFC West in Cam Akers? He's had trade buzz surrounding him for a little while after opening up as RB2. Got beat out by Darrell Henderson. You saw Henderson get a bulk of those snaps week 1 on Thursday night. But I like Cam Akers. 2nd-round pick in 2020, has ability. He's only 23 years old. The most appealing thing about Akers, cap hit this year of $1.5 million. Cap hit next year, still in his mid-20s at $1.9 million. The production hasn't been profound for him. He really only has 1 year of production. Why is that? Well, in 2020, he gets drafted early out of Florida State, really flashed as a fast athlete, 145 totes, 625 yards, 2 touchdowns, average yards per carry at 4.3. Expectations were enormous for him. There was so much buzz for him going into year 2 last year in training camp. Then he popped his Achilles. What's crazy about that Achilles injury, he returned so quickly, honestly the fastest I've seen any player come back from an Achilles injury, because he actually played in the divisional round against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and now with him as RB2, he could be a trade candidate, and he's very, very affordable given that contract. Who do you think is better, though, among the 2 players who we've talked about at length as external options? Is it Marlon Mack, type MM, Cam Akers, type CA. Once again, sound off and join the conversation down below. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are 381 people away from 63,000 subscribers here on the Niners Report. For those of you who are unfamiliar with us, what do? Daily 49ers videos, news, rumors, analysis, breaking news, live shows like this, as well as watch parties. So join the movement right now. Another fun name to discuss. How about Adrian Peterson, folks? So yes, in his boxing debut, he got clocked, straight up knocked out by Le'Veon Bell. But he did say last week to TMZ, a couple of teams that I'd like to play for if I were to make my return before I officially retire, San Francisco 49ers. This dude, an athletic marvel, who at 37 years old did get clocked as he dropped the hands to Le'Veon Bell. Never do that as a boxer because you open yourself up for that headshot. But at 37 years old, he's trying to keep it moving. He was drafted all the way back in 2007 and still had a job last year. And also historic, one of the greatest running backs that we've ever seen. Top 5 rushing leaders, NFL all time in terms of rushing yards. Emmitt Smith with north of 18,000. Walter Payton, sweetness, more than 16,000. Frank the Tank, 16,000 even. Number 3 all-time, an all-time 49ers great, followed by Barry Sanders and Adrian Peterson, who's closing in on 15,000 yards. I imagine he'd love to get that number. Almost had an opportunity to do it last year, but limited sample size with Tennessee and Seattle, as of course he was 36 years old. Played with both teams, played half the year in total, 38 carries, 98 yards. Adrian Peterson, 49ers aren't going to sign him. He's way too old, doesn't fit the timeline. He is a fun name to talk about, though, and for a short yardage back, I guarantee actually he'd be able to get the job done. What do you think, though? San Francisco, would you take a shot on Adrian Peterson? Y for yes, N for no. As always, appreciate all of you for watching the show.